What happened to Jim McMahon at 66? How does a man who once stood at the center of roaring stadiums with millions chanting his name reach a point where the biggest battles happen far away from the spotlight? Sometimes the toughest hits don't come from defenders. They come years later, when the crowd is gone, the lights are off, and the body remembers every collision. Jim McMahon's story isn't just about football. It's about the price of greatness, the strength to keep moving. And what happens when a legend refuses to let pain define him? Jim McMahon was born on August 21, 1959, in Jersey City, New Jersey, before growing up in a military family that moved often. Even as a young boy, he stood out, fearless, competitive, stubborn in the best and worst ways. Those qualities would make him one of football's most unforgettable quarterbacks. Fans loved him because he wasn't trying to fit the mold. He wore sunglasses on the sidelines, challenged authority, and played with an attitude that made every game feel personal. That confidence inspired teammates, frustrated opponents, and made him impossible to ignore. When McMahon led the Chicago Bears to victory in Super Bowl 20, he became more than a quarterback. He became a symbol of toughness. But what many people didn't realize was that every celebration came with another painful hit. Every victory carried another physical sacrifice. Back then, playing through injuries wasn't questioned. It was expected. Heroes stayed on the field, no matter the cost. Years later, that cost became impossible to ignore. As McMahon entered his 60s, he spoke openly about the damage football had done to his body and mind. Countless concussions had left lasting effects. He described memory problems, chronic pain, headaches, and the emotional weight that followed him long after retirement. For many former players, these struggles remain hidden. McMahon chose to talk about them, giving a voice to athletes facing the same silent battle. Perhaps the saddest part of his journey isn't that he got hurt. It's that, for years, those injuries were simply accepted as part of the game. Fans celebrated the toughness. Few asked what happened after the final whistle. McMahon became one of many reminders that glory can come with consequences no championship ring can erase. Yet this isn't a story of defeat. Despite everything, Jim McMahon has continued to speak publicly, spend time with his family, and advocate for better awareness of brain injuries. He has explored treatments that he says improved his quality of life and has encouraged conversations that previous generations of players rarely had. That willingness to be honest may become one of his greatest legacies. Watching McMahon today at 66 is emotional for longtime fans. They remember the fearless quarterback diving into defenders without hesitation. Now they see a man who carries the invisible scars of those unforgettable Sundays. The swagger is still there. The sense of humor hasn't disappeared, but experience has replaced invincibility. His story also forces us to ask an uncomfortable question. How many heroes have we cheered without understanding what they were sacrificing? We celebrate the touchdowns, the championships, and the unforgettable moments. We rarely see the mornings filled with pain, the forgotten memories, or the long recovery that never truly ends. Jim McMahon reminds us that courage isn't only throwing a game-winning pass with thousands watching. Sometimes courage means waking up every day, facing the consequences of yesterday, and still choosing to smile. It means refusing to let suffering erase your identity. At 66, Jim McMahon's greatest victory may no longer be the Super Bowl trophy that made him famous. It may be his determination to keep telling the truth about life after football. His journey proves that legends don't stop inspiring people when they leave the field. Sometimes their most powerful lesson begins after the cheering ends. And maybe that's the legacy worth remembering most of all.